Gautama Buddha once said, "An insincere and evil friend is more to be feared than a wild beast. A wild beast may wound your body, but an evil friend will wound your mind." Today we delve into a topic that resonates deeply with many of us: toxic friendships. Friendships are meant to uplift us, support us, and enrich our lives, but unfortunately, sometimes they can become sources of negativity and distress. In this video, we'll explore how to recognize and navigate toxic friendships through the lens of Buddhist wisdom, particularly drawing upon the teachings of Gautama Buddha. So, let's embark on this enlightening exploration together as we learn how to identify, address, and ultimately break free from toxic friendships, guided by the timeless wisdom of Gautama Buddha. Number 1. Have an objective third party assess the situation. In navigating the complexities of toxic friendships, seeking an objective third party to assess the situation can be invaluable. Often, when we're deeply entangled in a toxic relationship, our judgment can become clouded by emotions, making it difficult to see the situation clearly. This is where the perspective of a neutral observer becomes essential. By turning to someone outside of the friendship, we gain access to a fresh set of eyes and ears, untainted by personal biases or emotional attachments. This unbiased perspective can offer clarity and shed light on dynamics within the friendship that we may have overlooked or rationalized. It allows us to see the situation from a more objective standpoint, enabling us to make a more informed decision about the health of the relationship. A neutral third party can provide valuable insights that help us assess the toxicity within the friendship. They may observe patterns of behavior, communication dynamics, or power imbalances that are contributing to the toxicity. Their observations can validate our feelings and experiences, affirming that our concerns are legitimate and deserving of attention. Moreover, seeking the perspective of an objective third party can serve as a reality check. It can help us confront any denial or minimization we may be engaging in regarding the toxicity of the friendship. Sometimes we may downplay or rationalize problematic behavior from our friend, but an outside observer can offer a reality check, encouraging us to acknowledge the truth of the situation. In essence, having an objective third party assess the situation provides us with a valuable external reference point. It empowers us to see the friendship through a clearer lens, enabling us to make decisions that align with our well-being and values. So, don't hesitate to reach out to a trusted friend, family member, or therapist for their impartial perspective. It could be the first step towards reclaiming your emotional health and happiness. Number 2, set new boundaries. Setting new boundaries is a fundamental aspect of navigating toxic friendships with grace and self-respect. Boundaries serve as the invisible fences that define the limits of what is acceptable and unacceptable in a relationship, safeguarding our emotional well-being and preserving our sense of self. In the context of toxic friendships, it's essential to explore the concept of establishing healthy boundaries. This means clearly defining what behaviors, actions, and interactions are detrimental to our mental and emotional health, and communicating those boundaries assertively and respectfully. Practically speaking, setting boundaries with a toxic friend can be challenging, especially if the friendship has been characterized by blurred lines and unhealthy dynamics. However, it's crucial to remember that boundaries are not meant to punish or control the other person, but rather to protect ourselves. One practical tip for communicating boundaries is to use I statements to express your needs and feelings directly. For example, instead of saying, "You always criticize me," you could say, "I feel hurt when you criticize me." This approach focuses on your own experiences and emotions, making it less likely to be perceived as accusatory or confrontational. Additionally, it's important to be firm and consistent in enforcing boundaries with a toxic friend. This may involve setting consequences for boundary violations and following through with them if necessary. For instance, if a friend repeatedly crosses a boundary by gossiping about you behind your back, you might choose to limit your interactions with them or take a temporary break from the friendship. Ultimately, setting new boundaries in a toxic friendship requires courage, self-awareness, and a commitment to prioritizing your own well-being. While it may feel uncomfortable or awkward at first, remember that asserting your boundaries is an act of self-love and self-respect. By honoring your boundaries, you reclaim your power and create space for healthier, more fulfilling relationships to enter your life. Number 3, slow fade out of the friendship. When faced with the challenge of ending a toxic friendship, the concept of a slow fade out can offer a gentle and gradual approach to disengagement. Unlike abrupt endings, which can be emotionally jarring and potentially confrontational, the slow fade out allows for a more subtle and natural transition, minimizing drama and preserving a semblance of peace. The slow fade out involves gradually reducing communication and involvement with the toxic friend over time, allowing the friendship to naturally dwindle without the need for explicit confrontation or closure. This approach can be particularly effective in situations where direct confrontation may be met with resistance, defensiveness, or even hostility. One example of implementing the slow fade out is to gradually decrease the frequency and depth of communication with the toxic friend. This might involve responding less frequently to their messages or calls, gradually phasing out plans to hang out, and becoming less available for social gatherings or activities involving the friend. Another strategy is to diversify your social circle and invest more time and energy into relationships that are positive and nourishing. By expanding your network and cultivating new friendships, you naturally create distance from the toxic friend without needing to explicitly cut ties. It's important to note that the slow fade out should be approached with empathy and compassion, recognizing that ending a friendship, even a toxic one, can be a difficult and emotionally charged process for both parties involved. While the slow fade out may feel like a passive approach, it can be a respectful and considerate way to disengage from a toxic relationship while minimizing hurt feelings and unnecessary conflict. Ultimately, the goal of the slow fade out is to create space for healthier and more fulfilling connections to flourish in your life. By gradually releasing yourself from the grip of a toxic friendship, you open yourself up to new opportunities for growth, happiness, and authentic connection with others. Number 4, be clear with your breakup conversation. When it comes to ending a toxic friendship, having a clear and honest breakup conversation is paramount. While it may feel uncomfortable or daunting to confront the issue head-on, open communication is essential for expressing your feelings, setting boundaries, and ultimately moving forward with integrity and self-respect. First and foremost, emphasize the importance of honesty and transparency in your conversation with the toxic friend. Be clear and direct about your reasons for wanting to end the friendship, but also be mindful of your tone and approach. It's crucial to communicate your feelings in a respectful and non-confrontational manner, avoiding blame or hostility. One helpful strategy is to focus on using I statements to express your thoughts and emotions. For example, instead of saying, "You always make me feel inferior," you could say, "I've been feeling undervalued in our friendship, and I need to prioritize my own well-being." Additionally, provide specific examples of behaviors or interactions that have contributed to the toxicity in the friendship. This can help the other person understand where you're coming from and provide clarity on why the relationship is no longer serving you. It's also important to listen actively and empathetically to the other person's perspective, even if you disagree with their point of view. Give them the space to express their feelings and reactions without interrupting or invalidating their experiences. While you may not be able to control their response, you can control how you respond with patience and understanding. Ultimately, the goal of the breakup conversation is to bring closure to the relationship in a constructive and dignified manner. By approaching the conversation with honesty, compassion, and respect, You can honor the time and experiences you shared with the toxic friend, while also prioritizing your own well-being and emotional health. Number 5, know when to cut your losses. Knowing when to cut your losses in a toxic friendship is crucial for your well-being and mental health. While it can be difficult to let go of a relationship, especially one that may have once been meaningful, there are certain signs that indicate it's time to end the friendship definitively. One clear sign is if the toxic patterns in the friendship persist despite your efforts to address them. If you find yourself repeatedly setting boundaries or expressing your concerns, only to have them ignored or dismissed by your friend, it may be a sign that the friendship is no longer salvageable. Another red flag is if the friendship consistently leaves you feeling drained, depleted, or unhappy. Pay attention to how you feel after spending time with your friend. Do you feel uplifted, supported, and valued? Or do you feel drained, anxious, or insecure? Your emotional well-being should always be a priority. And if a friendship consistently undermines your happiness and self-esteem, it may be time to let go. Additionally, consider whether the friendship aligns with your values and goals. If you find that your friend's behavior or attitudes clash with your core beliefs or aspirations, it may be a sign that you've outgrown the relationship and that it's time to move on. Ultimately, cutting your losses in a toxic friendship is about prioritizing your well-being and mental health. It's about recognizing that you deserve to be surrounded by people who uplift and support you, rather than drain and diminish you. By letting go of toxic relationships, you create space for healthier and more fulfilling connections to enter your life, allowing you to thrive and grow into the best version of yourself. Conclusion. As Gautama Buddha wisely said, in the end, only 3 things matter: how much you loved, how gently you lived, and how gracefully you let go of things not meant for you. Ending a toxic friendship is an act of self-love and self-preservation, guided by the recognition that our well-being is paramount. By embracing the lessons of impermanence and detachment, we pave the way for greater peace, authenticity, and fulfillment in our lives. May we continue to navigate our relationships with wisdom, compassion, and the courage to let go when necessary. Thank you for joining us on this journey of growth and discovery.